Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and I suppose transfer news, because this is the Sunday morning show, so we'll be rounding up the Sunday morning news, of which sometimes in the UK, traditionally over the years, we do get some, we get some odd stories, I suppose. So we'll be rounding that up. We're linked to Alexander Isak, obviously Declan Rice. There's an Erling Haaland story. There's talk about the manager. An interesting story about Ralf Rangnick appointing an athletic journalist to advise him on media matters. So expect more exclusives for the Athletic, I presume. But we'll talk about that in a minute, because the most important thing to talk about today is that it's February the 6th. For football fans in general, but for Manchester United fans, definitely the most important day in our calendar, where we reflect and remember the Busby Babes and the Munich tragedy on February the 6th, 1958. There will be a memorial at Old Trafford, and there'll be one over in Munich, as there always is every year. And you can mark that in your own way. But I think that the one thing I would like to say is rest in peace to those people who lost their lives in Munich back in 1958. In what, you know what, I think you could be, I'm not here to make statements about the way the Glazers run their club or certain players or anything like that on a day like today, when we're remembering legends of our club. But what I would say is that they are legends of this football club, because they, you know, back in those days, they were legends, they were icons, they were heroes to the people, because they were the people. You know, there was no social media, there was no agents, there was no brand deals. They were in touch, and they lived the dreams of the fans. My granddad followed United through the 50s and absolutely loved and idolised Duncan Edwards, who unfortunately was one of the people who passed away in 58. But that team captured the imagination of a nation as well. A lot of people will support Manchester United now because their grandparents supported Manchester United because of the Busby Babes, and that's why there's a lot of fans around the UK, because you had people like Duncan Edwards coming in from Dudley in the Midlands. You had Bobby Charlton coming from the North East, and so Matt Busby, you know, basically architected this young team that won. You know, the thing is, I think the one thing I always like to say every year about the Busby Babes is that they are not. They live on in our memories forever because of what happened in Munich, but they were actually a fantastic football side. You know, they were absolutely fantastic. They'd won cups, they'd won league titles, and they would have won a lot more. So rest in peace to those legends who really were footballers and really were icons to the fans of that era. And, you know, a time that won't be forgotten, even though in the modern game, football has become very different to what it was then. So rest in peace to them, and never forget them is the message on this very important day for Manchester United fans and football fans as well. There'll be a lot of people who send their messages who aren't United fans, and respect to them. Rest in peace unless we forget, says Kelvin. Exactly. Okay, so let's move on with the show. It's Sunday morning. There's lots to discuss. And I want to start off with a couple of stories that sort of combine the stories, really. One of them's from the Star, so don't take massive notice about it. And the other one is from the Mail, I think. It's about Declan Rice and Manchester United's determination to sign Declan Rice. The story about Erling Haaland is that Real Madrid are now looking to retract their interest in Erling Haaland because of the financial package they're going to have to put together for Mbappe, who will join them. I personally still think that Erling Haaland will go to Real Madrid. I think it's money that Real Madrid will find. I think Real Madrid are desperate to, Florentino Perez as well. He's had his fingers burnt with the Super League. They were desperate for a Super League because they knew that the La Liga was dying and the Premier League is the dominant league and it's getting better and better. And Real Madrid are desperately thrashing around trying to, gain that momentum and notoriety that they've had for years and years and win Champions Leagues. So they will spend the money. Maybe Paul Pogba will end up there, but I certainly think they will get Erling Haaland and obviously Mbappe. Maybe more, because as they try and build a team good enough to compete for the Champions League. But what I wanted to say as well is that in relation to Erling Haaland, we will continually be linked to him. It's going to happen. And look, the morning show's a news response show, and there is that story about Haaland, there is that story about Declan Rice, and look, I think Declan Rice yesterday showed his leadership qualities in the Cup, and he lives and breathes his football. He loves playing for West Ham. There's no doubt that he wants to leave. There's no doubt that he wants to go to Chelsea. There's no doubt that he's a fantastic midfielder who's got more levels in him to go up. He's a leader. He is, Premier League proven, if that really does matter. Declan Rice is going to go to Man City, Chelsea or Manchester United, and he's going to make a difference, like he is. Should he be coming to Manchester United? Should Manchester United be going for Erling Haaland? Will there be a watch-along for the AFCON final, says Adam? No, because we've got the 8 o'clock show, so I'm not doing that. I'm doing Leicester against Forest at 4 o'clock on That's Football, mate. So I'm not doing it. I haven't really watched the AFCON, so I feel a bit of a hypocrite to just go and do a final watch-along. I'd rather do the 8 o'clock show with Ricky. We've got Ricky on later, so I don't know why I've gone Scouse. We've got Ricky on later, so looking forward to the 8 o'clock show. So yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll keep an eye on it whilst we're watching, but I'm not doing a specific watch along. So yeah, I think with the striking situation, there's a story in there because we're linked. The Mirror have linked us this morning to Alexander Isak at Sociedad, saying that Manchester United are looking at him, Chelsea are looking at him as a potential replacement Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, look. We've got a game on Tuesday against Burnley. We've then got Southampton. Then we've got Brighton. Then we've got Leeds. We've got 4 Premier League games coming up. We've got to try and get 12 points out of these games. If we don't, I think Spurs looked very good yesterday in the Cup game against Brighton last night. They might catch a bit of momentum. We need to catch a bit of momentum as well. If we don't and we're not in the top 4, then I think it's realistic that Ronaldo will go. And look, maybe Ronaldo going is something that some of you would want. I watched the show last night where they were talking about that. But I think that what worries me and probably excites you is that the way United will deal with this summer is they will go, we need a shirt seller, we need publicity, we need the social media clicks, we need the world to notice us when we sign a player. And when you look at it like that going into the summer, what's going to do? What will do that for Manchester United? Well, look, Erling Haaland will. And I think United would try and get involved in the Erling Haaland deal. I don't think we can, but I think we will try if Real Madrid did walk away. And I definitely think we'd like to get Declan Rice because it's the sort of battle that Manchester United like to win. It's a social media battle. It's a publicity battle. We've done it with Man City before. If we can get, it doesn't matter that Man City will probably be the Premier League winners in the summer for the second year in a row. It doesn't matter that Chelsea are Champions League holders and might have won another by the time the summer comes along. United's mindset will be, well, we beat you to Declan Rice, because those are the things that drive United's success. It's off-field antics, it's shirt sales, it's social media interaction, it's publicity and exposure. And Declan Rice bought for £80 million is a bigger story than Chelsea buying Tchouaméni or Man City buying some Palino from Sporting Lisbon. They've probably got the better deal, but we'll get the bigger publicity. And I think that also is the United model. So I would not be surprised if we did obtain Declan Rice or an Erling Haaland. And if it's not those two, because really Rice should be going to Chelsea and Haaland should be going to Madrid. And if those aren't possible, I think United will drop in. And what you've got to think about as football fans is, what's the big signing going to be if it's not those two? Because that's United's plan. We are a franchise. We are an American football team, basically. We are about what we can do to, manipulate and entertain our fan base without winning anything. Because that happens a lot in NFL. Only one team can win the Super Bowl and there's loads of different teams, franchises. So I think that United, and they did it after the Super League as well, very angry fan base. You buy Sancho, you buy Varane, you buy Ronaldo, very happy fan base before a ball's been kicked. And I think as fans, really, we should stop getting mugged off on summer transfer windows and hyping them up, because we've been doing it for years, and actually maintain the frustration until we start to see an improvement on the pitch. But United's plan will be this summer, we've had a low, we need to get the fan base excited for a new season. We've got shirts to sell, 3 of them, 3 different designs. We've got season tickets. We need to get everybody pumped up for the season. This is where we get a lot of growth in revenue and social media interaction. So look, you know what? We've got to go. We've got to get somebody in that's going to excite people. So I think there definitely will be a signing like that. The question is, who's it going to be? Of course, I think Declan Rice would make for a very good signing for Manchester United, but it's going to be dependent on Chelsea, isn't it? And maybe Man City. And as for Haaland, look, I think United will be in for him, but we will be linked to him, but I can't see it happening. And what I would say is this, and I think a lot of you would agree with this. As somebody quite rightly said in the chat there, well, you're saying that you wouldn't like Declan Rice or Erling Haaland. And I actually am saying that, even though I would be in the minority. Because you know why I'm saying that? Because if I was the CEO of Manchester United, or I was the director of football at Manchester United, and the Joel Glazer says to me, right, who's going to be the shirt seller that we're getting this year? We got Ronaldo last year. Who are you going to get? You're going to try and get Erling Haaland and that. I'd say, how much have I got? Well, for the right type of player, you've got 150 million pounds. I said, yeah, but if I don't get Erling Haaland, how much have I got? About 100 million. Okay, I can get Declan Rice for 100 million pounds, and that will sell you a lot of shirts, and it will get you a lot of publicity. But what I would like to do with that 100 million pounds is buy 4 players. Who are they then? Well, there's this midfielder who's up and coming from France. There's another one in Portugal we'll get them for about 50 million. I'm looking at a striker that's coming through, playing well in Germany, but about 30 million. And then there's another lad I think's worth taking a punt on. Well, that's not going to sell us any shirts, is it? No one really knows who they are. I said, yeah, but I'm not here to sell shirts. I'm here to rebuild a team that needs 3 or 4 players in the first team. And we're not winning the league this year. So if I bring them in this summer and we get them integrated into the team, I'm looking at the season after next. If you want Declan Rice, you'll have 3 or 4 other holes in the team. You'll have a shirt seller, and everyone will talk about United winning the league, but we won't win the league. Let me spend that 100 million on 3 or 4 players that I think will help us improve over the next 18 months. And in 18 months, they will be very popular players because they're good at football, and we will have a team that can start to challenge for the title, hopefully. But we're never going to do that, and that's why we fail. We will never do that. We will never go and buy 3 or 4 players that are not, wow, social media's just broken, buy your shirt here. We will go for the Declan Rice over the Tchouaméni or the Kamara. We will go for the Erling Haaland over the striker that's scoring goals in Bundesliga, which I don't even know. So that's what we will do, because what does that do? It's like a drug. It's like a drug, and it's part of the cycle. It pulls you in. Oh yeah, we've got Declan Rice. Right, I'm going to get my shirt. I love the new third kit with Declan Rice on the back. It's great until you go and get smashed up at Southampton away in March. But I think that's the model that the Glazers have got. We know what the Glazer model is, and there will be some shirt seller brought in the summer, and they'll need to do that as well, because if Pogba goes, and God forbid Ronaldo goes, the fan base will not be very happy. If we finish 4th, we don't win anything, and we lose Pogba and Ronaldo, then the fan base ain't going to be very happy, is it? So they need to do something, and they'll throw money at something. Kind of fed up going for 3 Hollywood signings. Rice is an example of that. Rather get 2 players with good standard rather than spending millions, as Farson. I was out last night, which is why I've got a bit of a sore throat, and I was talking to a lot of Villa fans because I was out in Birmingham. And the general chat I was having with them is that when I look at what Villa are doing now, and I look at what United are doing now, there's no doubt we're better than Villa at the moment, but we're not going to win the league this year, and we're not going to win the Champions League this year, and Villa aren't going to get into Europe this year. So the best we can hope for is 4th, but really it's about next season for Villa, and it's about next season for United. And I said, I think next season is going to be very interesting if Villa have another good summer transfer window. I'm not saying they're going to finish above us, but I certainly think they're going to be very, very close to us, competing with us. And if Villa are doing that, and Spurs do that, and Newcastle are on the way, we could be in big trouble next season. And I think that's what I'm looking at. And I think we are going to be in trouble next season, no matter what. I can't see a situation where next season we're up there with Chelsea and Liverpool and Man City. I just can't see it. New manager, marquee signings, I just can't see it. I think this summer is the time to realise that next season's going to be hard no matter what. There is no scenario where I look at next season and go, oh yeah, we're going to win the league, or we're going to fight for the league, or we're going to get deep in the Champions League. Already in February, I can see next season's going to be hard, because we're just not set up for next season. A lot of the problems that we've got now are going to be there next season, and a lot of the things we have now won't be there next season. That Cavani option, amongst others. So I think next season will be very, very difficult. Ignoring the January transfer window was a massive mistake. You look at what Liverpool did with Diaz, get him in, integrate him. We should have done that with Kamara. We should have done that with Zakaria. We should have brought somebody in to integrate them over the next 4 or 5 weeks, months. And I think next season's going to be very difficult, which is why, for me, if we brought the right manager in and he was allowed to bring in the right 4 or 5 players, I think I'd go into next season and go, look, let's see what we can do. But next season is about growth. I think there's a problem in the fan base that we've had so many false starts, we've had so many resets, we've had so many rebuilds. There are fans that I talk to that don't realise we're in the worst position we've been in since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. So every rebuild you've had under Moyes, Van Gaal, Ollie, Mourinho, we do need one of them again. And this summer needs to be that. I think United's board think you can just sprinkle it with a couple of superstars and we'll be fighting for the title, but we won't. We won't. And we need a rebuild in the summer. And a rebuild for me is quality players on the pitch, not superstars. We need quality that's going to be growing with us for the next 3 or 4 years. Rice is just another Dyer, a centre-back playing CDM. Prefer Neves, he's not overpriced and a proper CDM. Says MVP. Well, of course, look, in relation to Isaac, and there are other options. People are talking about Bissouma and Tchouaméni. Of course there are, but that's my concern. I think, teams like Villa and Chelsea will go for team players like Bissouma and Tchouaméni if they don't go for Rice. But United, I just don't think it's on our agenda. I think United will look at the shirt seller. They'll look at the more high-profile signing. Who's going to break the internet? These are the things that tick United's box at the moment, not who's going to be the value for money signing that's going to make us a better footballing side. It's who's going to be the one that's going to break the internet. Who's the one who's going to get us the most interactions, Never thought I'd see Mark get so much abuse for posting about Munich. Do not care what people think of him. He loves the club, says Daniel Kirk. I didn't know I had any abuse for posting about Munich, mate. So that's welcome to me, Daniel. I've posted on social media today, but I don't read replies a lot anyway. Basuma or Kamara and Jonathan David for me, says Raz. And look, I think with the Isaac story with Chelsea, Alexander Isaac, the Swedish forward, who I do like. It's interesting that we're being linked to him because he was obviously expected to be, he was quite heavily linked to Arsenal, who also need a striker. So we've got a very interesting summer because we do need a striker. But strikers are always wanted. I've got to drop it in here. I don't know why people aren't talking about it, but I guarantee it will start to kick in soon. I think we'll be linked to Harry Kane, and I wouldn't be surprised if we went for Harry Kane. Whether Conte can make him happy enough to stay at Spurs, I don't know. But it's another year of his contract from last summer. I wouldn't be surprised if United looked at Harry Kane. Because he ticks every box again. Premier League, English, breaks the internet, £100 million signing. I can see United going for Kane, 100%. I'm surprised we've not been linked to him. I can definitely see us going for Kane if Ronaldo leaves. And you know what? It will be exactly the sort of signing that will excite a lot of our fan base and go, we're going to win the league. Daniel Kirk says, I meant Marcus. Oh, sorry, mate. Daniel Kirk, sorry. And the Glazers, I don't know why. I don't know. Look, the Glazers would get plenty of attention in time if they invested in rebuilding the club with players who will make big changes. I said, Joel, I agree with you. And I don't think it will happen. I don't think we'll get the summer we want where we buy players that are about building a new future. I think we will get superstars. And, moving on to the management conversation, there was a story this morning, I can't remember where it was from, they were basically saying that United are looking to appoint Pochettino before the end of the season. And I was like, well, I don't want Pochettino anyway, but I was like, well, whether it's Pochettino or Ten Hag, United will have already decided who the summer signings are. There's this myth that we didn't buy anybody in January because we're waiting for a new manager. That we will already have had the conversations with agents of the players that we want probably by March, but we might not have our new manager until June. So whoever the new manager is, they will get given players basically, and this does happen at some clubs anyway. But if you brought a Ten Hag in, he might have an idea of 3 or 4 players that he wants to bring in to gradually build the team. If you are Ten Hag or you are Pochettino when you come into the club, what's going to happen actually is you're going to go, welcome to the club. There's Declan Rice, Ronaldo. We don't know what's happening with him. Pogba's gone, Cavani's gone, and we're working on a striker called this. And that's basically how United work. And we've seen the evidence of that. We know that's how United work. Mourinho wanted things and was told no and was given different things. Van Gaal, the same thing happened with him. He wanted certain players. He ended up with different players. Ollie clearly never wanted Van der Beek. I like Van der Beek. I think Ollie should have used Van der Beek, but he clearly never wanted him. There is a history at this football club of the board overruling the manager and giving them different options that they never wanted in the first place. And we've seen it this week where Ralf Rangnick wanted Lingard to play, thought Lingard didn't want to play, and then finds out that the director of football, Murta, has given Lingard the week off. So, Also, I want a midfielder. You're not getting it. Also, I think Lingard should be allowed to go to Newcastle. No. And so we know who's running the recruitment of this football club and overruling the manager. And it is the director of football, it is the board, that they're making football decisions, which is why, as a football club, we are so bad. Because we are being run by the, look, Mertens mates with Woodward. He's been there for years. Arnold's been there for years with Woodward as well. There's the same people making the same mistakes. And to be honest with you, we're going around telling the same story every bloody show, it seems. But the manager's not going to get listened to. So, look, bring Pochettino in if you want. If he's a yes man, I'm sure he'll get the job. Bring Ten Hag in. But the reality is they're not going to come in and be given what we were just talking about a few minutes ago, which is, look, I want 3 or 4 players. None of them are really big shirt sellers, but they'll make United a good football team. No. No, that's not what we want. What, you don't want us to be a good football team? Well, we do, but we do need to bring people in that are going to expose our brand and break the internet. And the players that you've mentioned, I've had to do a Google search and I still can't find them. So, yeah, but they're good players. They're going to be really good players, and they are what we need as part of a rebuild. Yeah. They're not Declan Rice, are they, though? You get back on the coaching ground and leave signing players to us, because watch what happens when we get Declan Rice. It will trend, we'll sell loads of shirts, and trust me, that's what we're all about. And I think that's what United will do again this summer. They will have to do it, because they're going to be terrified of losing Ronaldo, and there's other players that are going to go that's going to be embarrassing for them. I think United will desperately try and keep Lingard and Pogba as well by offering them stupid wages, and they'll be hoping that they can do that. But if those 2 players go, which they should, then that's embarrassing. So how do you cover up an embarrassment? You go and do a marquee signing. The Glazers were on their knees after the Super League. They were absolutely screwed. What did they do? They bought Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo, and although it didn't happen, it was almost like Glazers in was trending on Twitter because they've gone and bought 3 shirt sellers, And look, I love Ronaldo, I love Varane, and I think Sancho's a fantastic player as well, but we didn't buy the midfielder that we need. So whatever you say about last summer, some people wanted to say, oh, it's a 9 out of 10, it's a 10 out of 10. I said, for me, it's a 7, because Ronaldo's fantastic, Varane's fantastic, and Sancho's fantastic, but we didn't buy a midfield. It's like buying a fantastic car but not buying an engine. It's not going to work, and it didn't work. Unpopular opinion, Ten Hag would never join Man United under the current board. He would rather join City after Pep leaves, says Anabav. And maybe that'll be the case, but I think that he is looking to go this summer, Ten Hag, so it'd be interesting to see. But I 100% think that Man United will go for Poch. And you know what? When you think about it, there's a very big similarity between what we'll do with players and what we'll do with a manager. Because for me, a Tchouaméni is a better buy for Manchester United than Declan Rice, because he's cheaper and probably better. Not at the moment, but I think he is going to be getting better. And I think Real Madrid might go for him as well. So United will always go for the Rice option because it's expensive, it's exposure, it's a shirt seller. But Tchouaméni might well be the better option. Man United will go for Pochettino over Ten Hag because Pochettino will break the internet more than Ten Hag. Football fans will be more excited by Ten Hag, but the media, social media, story, breaking the internet, Poch finally gets his United job. It's a bigger story, there's more hype, and United will always go for the hype. I don't want Pochettino. If it's Pochettino or Ten Hag, I want Ten Hag, and I've always been consistent about the reasoning for this, is that I want United to get something new. I want United, and it's the same with players. I don't want to go for the big obvious thing. I want us to build something ourselves. We're always trying to go for the quick fix. Chuck a load of money at something, give it massive wages and expect it to work. Ten Hag might not work, but look at what Southampton did with Pochettino and Spurs. That Pochettino is Southampton and Spurs project. It's not ours. We never want to go for somebody that's going to build the club, who's talented. And that's what the sort of manager I would like. I would like a manager that's shown themselves to be, out there, a little bit unorthodox. I'm not saying Potter from Brighton, that might be a step too far, but Nagelsmann would have been good. Ten Hag would be good. There are others. I want to build our own manager. Like we did with Sir Alex. He was doing great things at Aberdeen, but we didn't go and get him after he'd been sacked by Real Madrid. We went and got him at Aberdeen. I want United to do that. And it's surprising, really, because the DNA thing that the Glazers talk about in the United way is the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard. And I don't want to start getting angry and ranting on a day like this, of course, but it does bring it home that they talk about the United DNA, and United DNA is days like February the 6th, that real life DNA of our club, real loss of life DNA of our football club. Every Man United fan knows what the DNA of our football club is. But when our owners and board talk about DNA, they're just using it to mug you off. The DNA of this football club at the moment is to sell shirts, to increase media without winning trophies, to increase revenue without winning trophies. It's like a franchise in an American sport, and we're owned by Americans, so it's not a surprise, is it? But what the real DNA of United is, if you go back to what they're trying to replicate, and they're definitely desperate to replicate what Sir Alex did. Sir Alex Ferguson came down from Aberdeen. If we'd have gone with what the Glazers model is, we'd have tried to get a manager who'd been sacked by Real Madrid or something like that. We got an Aberdeen manager with a load of potential, and he rebuilt the club. That's what we should be trying to do now. We should be looking at the next up-and-coming manager who's done really well at a smaller club, and he's ready to come to the Premier League, and then back them and listen to them. Sir Alex Ferguson came to Manchester United, and the Man United board listened to him. It wasn't great at the start, but they listened to him. They bought into what he was trying to do, and it paid dividends. But the only dividends the Glazers are interested in is the money dividends. I firmly believe we should be bringing in a Ten Hag type manager and then giving them the control to build the club. But even if you did bring a Ten Hag manager in, they'd bully him. Not in a real bullying sense, but they tell him these are the players you've got, these are the coaches you're going to work with. You're never going to get a manager at Manchester United who's going to get free rein to rebuild the club. There's too many egos, there's too many people pulling strings there from the board and up, and we are as a football club, we are in for an uncertain future, I would say, and I don't think a very good one. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Lots discussed this morning. Just finally, I haven't read the article yet. I just got sent it from someone who writes for the United Stand website, saying that Ralf Rangnick has appointed Mr. Honigstein, who is a German correspondent who writes for The Athletic, to be his media advisor. I don't think you need a media advisor, Ralph. I don't. I think your press conferences are fantastic. I think you are a breath of fresh air. I don't think we've had a manager speak openly like this in many years, and it's a shame that you're now going to get a media advisor to advise you what to say in the media, because obviously we're going to go back to the day of what we had the last 3 years now, where it's just mundane and grey, like it was under Ollie. It's a shame, because I think Ralph's been fantastic, and what he's actually done is he's exposed the real problems at the club, the egos in the dressing room and the egos on the board, and it's a shame that could potentially stop now. So that is a story from the Mail. I don't know whether it's true. Honigstein, who writes for The Athletic, apparently is going to take a sabbatical to work with Rangnick until the end of the season. So, as I say, the Athletic get lots of exclusives from United anyway. They've got that relationship. They'll probably have it a little bit more now. But it's a shame. It is a shame, because I want to see Ralf Rangnick speaking openly and honestly, because that's what the fans deserve. And it wouldn't surprise me if that stops now, but we'll have to see. Anyway, look, the main thing today is it's February the 6th, and we remember the Busby Babes and all those who perished on February the 6th, 1958. Of course, not everybody actually did die on that date. The late, great Duncan Edwards survived for a couple of weeks more, and we'll never forget. So thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'm back at 4 o'clock on That's Football. I'm doing a watch-along for the Leicester game. And then we're at 8 o'clock tonight, and we've got Ricky on, which will be interesting to see what he thinks about not just the transfer window, recent results. He was messaging me on Friday night, was not happy with Bruno. So we'll be talking to Ricky then at 8 o'clock. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'll speak to you all in a bit.